Welcome back. I am with Aarvah, and this is our part two. We left off talking about food sovereignty, so I'll let you go ahead and continue, Aarvah.
Food sovereignty for me and the way that I see it is also just as a freedom, right? Like we're really talking about sovereignty like with food because we have to start making up terminology for things that's just like common sense, right?
Sure.
Not being able to grow your own food, not being able to have control over how it's grown, um, and the accessibility to it, right? All of those things, it's like we have all of this terminology. So it's like organic when you're really supposed to grow food that way. So any individual, community, family that doesn't have the opportunity to feed themselves at will is, it's like a crime against like humanity, but we have normalized it,
Yes.
and so many of us, like, this is why we're sick because we don't have these proper diets. Um, Food is, yeah, like you say, food is medicine, but food is also fun.
Oh, I like that. I
Um,
haven't heard you say it like that before. Come on. Food is,
I mean, because like you can have both things at once,
yeah,
right? But we're just not educated on what food really means and how important food is
yeah,
to a point. Because in the same token, you know, these days people eat from anybody. Like how often we just have an Uber Eats and DoorDash, like you got complete strangers. Like, so the way that we have started thinking about what we put in our bodies or lack thereof, just not thinking about it, like,
yeah,
it's self-harm, but we don't even think about it. It's just too many things that we're just not even thinking about, and it really doesn't make sense. And a lot of times when medicine fails, what do the doctors do? Send you to the natural medicine,
yeah,
right? So why don't they send you to the natural medicine in the first place? Because there is no profit in that.
exactly. They cannot
And
fight nature.
yeah, so once we realize the why with a lot of things, we can start making real change. We don't like to accept the why.
Mm-hmm.
The why is not comfortable a lot of times.
Yeah.
So even with us as an entity, right? And really as like it's like all we do is farm, but the reason it makes us as a social enterprise is because of our why,
Beautiful.
right? A
Yeah.
lot of the problems that we run into is because of our why.
Mm-hmm.
It's we have to heal, and the why makes people uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
People project, and it's not just individuals, right? Because I don't feel like someone, for the most part, don't care for me as an individual. They don't care for what I stand for. I stand for a solution,
Yeah, that's,
right?
yeah.
I'm working in solution.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing or no one that can't tell me that there is no solution.
Yeah.
So when people make a lifestyle, a hobby, entertainment off of playing around with the why or pretending to solve something, naturally it's concern.
Mm-hmm.
Because the fact of the matter is you're affecting the way that they do business. So we can talk about individuals, we could talk about companies, but that's what we're facing as a country,
That's,
right?
yeah.
So we go back to the end of slavery, roll into Jim Crow, then you roll into the war on drugs, put that into the school to prison pipeline. It is the same thing with a different face
Mm-hmm.
by different generation. And each and every generation that pass, it's the same disenfranchisement.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes down to from the beginning, when there was an end of slavery, there wasn't the transfer of land,
Yeah.
of resources for Black people in this country to ever be self-sufficient and independent.
Yeah. Talk about it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So then, when we start to fight through those things, because that is our nature, right? This is what we do. We fight the good fight. Now here comes something else. Now here comes Jim Crow, right? Now we fight the good fight, and now here comes something else. Now we're gonna import drugs because, we never have the planes, the trains, and, to get these drugs or these heavy machinery, military grade guns in our community. There are studies that's not studies, but exposed things that it's not a conspiracy theory no more, that it was purposely done, purposely putting drugs into our community. So it's like no matter how every generation that there is something created to keep us hindered,
Yeah.
right? We're always saying that it's not that bad or it's not that good. We have to keep fighting these things. So, and our stories are always told from our hunters.
Hmm.
Like they tried to okey doke us not too long ago saying that the slaves came here as immigrants to work. Now, I don't know if you've seen this, but it was like a school in Texas that did it first, but I believe they all use the same books. Like, you go to schools, it's the same companies that make the books for the schools or whatever, but
Hmm.
these books start trying to change the way
Just,
slavery happened.
oh,
And
wow.
it said like the language in it. So it was a big thing for a little while, and they, had to take it out of the book. But this is how history happens all of the time,
Absolutely.
not usually so easily exposed and spread to the masses. Now we have internet and, television, all these things, but that's how many things, I mean, how so many things in history just get turned just that fast by the people that have the power,
Yeah.
right? And it just keeps happening. And then what we end up doing is start now fighting against each other.
Hmm.
We get this tall poppy syndrome, like, you don't want your light dim, so you're going to cut off who's doing better than you.
Hmm.
Bring them down to where you are. And it never has anything to do with the problem. It's just the person
Yeah.
or that group, right? Because if you thrive off of sucking blood and someone tells you that that's illegal, you can't do that, this is how you've been surviving so long.
Yeah.
So, and that's another thing sometimes we just take all of the emotion out of things and just still focus on the why. Like, why would these people be this cruel? Why would this happen and why would that happen? It's just because they have the power. And if these things didn't happen, they would lose the power. Is it right? Absolutely no. It
Hmm.
is wrong. But this is how we keep cycling into these new generations of these systemic problems because we're not accepting the
Yeah.
world that we live in and fighting for things that's actually real.
Absolutely. So what do you think have contributed to a slow fight? I'm gonna put it that way because people are still fighting. The fight has definitely evolved into different ways. So, and because it's evolved, I feel like it's a slower fight. We're not protesting as loud and in large numbers as
Mhm.
like Martin Luther King Jr. did, Malcolm X, and other activists. So I'm not going to negate that people are not still fighting, but it looks like a slower fight.
Um, Most people are not still fighting. It's a slower fight, I think, for a few reasons. For one, for the most part, we scared. Like, we scared. So anytime somebody not scared, now you have the Stockholm syndrome, right? Now you're like, get them, sir. Get them, ma'am. Get them, master. How dare they? So it's always going to be the sellout, right? Someone that just wants the pat on the head, someone that wants the resources. And that's not specific to Black people. That's how you get spies and, traitors and all of that stuff. It's because, you woo somebody with materialistic things that's not real,
Yeah.
that really don't matter. Or it could just be a situation like sometimes it's a cold world, it's a cruel world. You don't know what kind of threats that person may be dealing with, and everybody is not going to be the strong person. Everybody's not going to be the fighter. And the weakest ones and the ones that are willing to do the cruelest to their own people is the one that they put on the pedestal.
Absolutely.
Right. And then I'll go back to, my dislike for the whole BIPOC thing, right? Because we are all not the same.
Yeah. Talk about it.
Like to to say that we help people of color and putting everybody in the same bucket is a huge spit in the face, and also like it's a strategy. So now we're not paying attention to what the real problem is because we're mad at each other.
Yeah.
We're not the same. We have different cultures, we have different religions, and just identifying, right? Like if I'm outside and I seen a woman walking with bags, struggling this in the rain, I'm more likely to help her because it's a woman,
Yeah.
right? Versus me seeing a dude, not just for safety concerns, but the fact of the matter is we all identify with our own.
Mm-hmm.
And they just try to throw everything non-white into a box. And a lot of times, again, like Black Americans, like get the brunt of it because you're trying to explain something to people who don't have the same background that you have,
Yeah.
haven't had the same struggles that you have. And you're trying to convince them that they should be okay with the little that you are okay with at times,
Yeah.
right? So if I'm not a first or second generation immigrant, and I'm actually a descendant from the people that built this country. You can't tell us that we have the same priorities, needs, or we get to complain about the same things
True.
because we're owed different things. If I don't come from sleeping in a zinc house and not having groceries, you can't put me next to someone that went to the same school as the colonizers' children and so on and so forth, but keep getting treated differently. I'm supposed to have exactly what they have. I shouldn't have to be okay with nothing. And a lot of times they prey on that. So
Yeah.
like a lot of times these nonprofits, like you see a lot of immigrant people there for different reasons. Also just exploiting them because you know they're not going to complain. You know, a fear of different things, right? And the things that you can get away with. Like
Yeah.
you can't tell a Black American you're going to work for pennies. You're going to do all of this super hard labor. And if you get hurt, we're not helping you.
Right.
We're not accustomed to that. We know better. So it's just so many different things that we really don't want to address when it comes to this whole BIPOC thing and it really just putting people against each other and still fighting for scraps while they're eating all of the fruit. So and again, it's generational. There's always something like that, just like when they imported all the Irish people here. That's why anytime you see the police and the fire departments and they have these celebrations or death or something, you have the bagpipes
Yeah.
because you just always wanted, at least I'm not Black, at least I'm not a what. And
Mhm.
it's just like always, the case. Like, no, and now we're paying for it because you have all of these people and you're just doing these things knowing that it's just purposely to not just to keep those people down, but also keep your pockets lined. And it's now, your chickens are coming home to roost.
Right.
And we never want to say how great the people that dare say no or challenge these things or try to do something different until they're gone or they're beat, and like Martin Luther King, who you mentioned earlier, was one of those great examples. On his way out, his opinion on what we should be doing had changed. They don't talk about that.
That's
One
true.
of the things he was talking about is how they gave all of these white farmers all of this land. And he had learned about this and learning what true wealth is
Mhm.
and what's important.
Mhm.
But that you'll never hear anyone talking when it comes to like, the news is on and it's Black History Month or Martin Luther King birthday. They never talk about the person that he became, the things that he learned. They only talk about the things that helps their argument,
Yes.
helps their way of life.
Yep.
They don't say that he woke up in the end and realized that basically the same thing that I'm saying. If you don't be realistic about the world that you're living in, the people that run it, you can't solve that problem. So
Yeah.
he was trying to solve the wrong problem, and that's in his own words. Like, he said, I'm afraid I've led my people into a burning house,
Yeah. Yeah.
because he was a great leader. So long as he wasn't doing what Malcolm was doing, it's fine. But as soon as he woke up, you have to go. And again, that's why I'm not a fan of leaders. We just got to spread knowledge and take care of each other and believe in ourselves, right? We're always looking for something or someone else to believe in. And
Yes.
we're enough,
That's so true.
you know?
That's really good. So that is, so I love that that is what food sovereignty or just sovereignty in general means to you. I totally thought you were going to go a different route with that, but I'm listening and I'm like, yeah, this is our sovereign right. This is our sovereign will, to be independent, to think for ourselves, to believe in ourselves. It's not always about just the tangibleness of growing the food, but it's really to have all of this innate ability that is really given by God. So I appreciate that you explained it in that way. So
Mm.
now my next question is, what do you think about, Connecticut as a whole, being that it's a very wealthy state, there's huge racial and health disparities here. Um, what do you see like through your work, through your organization, and just as a person living here, what do you see as a way to improve? I don't even really like to use that word improve because to me it also implies that we're not addressing the root causes of everything. But for the sake of conversation, how would you improve the food system? I'll think of another word later.
Typically fine would improve, right? Because I think it gives us like like expectations, like
Okay.
we're not doing enough.
Yeah.
And a major part of that is just because we too busy fighting each other.
Yeah.
So, I don't like, oh, sustainability and regenerative. Like we've taken things and just like devalued the words now because it's not even expected to have follow through,
Hmm.
right? So what I see as a way for us to improve is actually really locking in and sticking to the facts, sticking to the program. We let too much of our emotions, our personal needs, personal opinions, and our egos get in the way. And if you don't have accountability, you don't have safe spaces. And
Yeah.
if you don't have safe spaces, you have people that are being abused, and all of that means distraction. And the work is not getting done. So, like, we're going to go back to Aasaaska, which means foundation. If your foundation is strong, which our foundation is not strong, right? For
Mhm.
different reasons. Some of it is just lack of education. If you have a bunch of people that believe that we don't have enemies and there are not things put in place, to keep us where we are, you can't combat or overcome those things.
Yeah.
So, internally, like we have all of those type of problems there. And oftentimes, like people, like with everything going on in this country and people is mad at the administration that we have at this time and that time, my whole thought process is like, if we were actually doing what we were supposed to be doing as a community, that wouldn't even have nothing to do with us.
Absolutely. Say it louder. I always say that. Why are you focused on what they're doing and not focusing on what you can do?
Because we don't have no structure. We don't believe in each other.
Yeah.
No one feels like if something happens to me, I can go here, or the fact that you shouldn't have to go anywhere. We're not doing things together. We don't have communities. All of these other, not all of them, but you have a lot of other people from different ethnic backgrounds that work together. They don't like each other, right? But they understand their common problems, what they have in common, and that's what they work on. They don't care about what someone's dressing like, how much money that person has, how they're spending their money. All they care about is what they're doing to better the community and
Yeah.
that they are doing their part. And again, it's going to go back to the bees, right? Because if everybody do what they're supposed to be doing, the colony thrives and survives.
Yeah.
If you're the bee that's supposed to go forage, then you go forage. Don't worry about the door. That's somebody else's job. Just go do what you're supposed to be doing. So we just need to organize and prioritize and strategize and execute things, but we can't do that because and then we also have too much external chatter.
Yeah.
You always have people that really can't identify with things actually behind our movements.
Yeah.
So it's just at the end of the day, I think at the very base, having structure, having accountability, in a place where people feel safe, we will be unstoppable because we have so many great minds. And once they come together, it'll be unstoppable. But They always playing in our face. Just like you see now, they have all of these, they're exposing all these fake accounts of people just, baiting black women against black men, and they in Asia somewhere. So it's like, at what point, oh yeah, a bunch of fake Trump accounts that's really not. So it's just like people are always manipulating,
Yeah.
and this social engineering that what at some point we have to really understand that keeping us where we are is big business,
Yes.
and
Oh
no
my
one is coming to save you. You
God.
can't expect your enslaver to free you. It's never going to happen.
Okay, please expound upon that. That is so freaking good. Please talk more about that.
I mean, really, it's just really that simple. If it's just like my cat, right? I bought my cat because I had a mouse.
Hmm.
You know, I can lie because there's a bunch of other people that just adore cats and they're their babies and their children and all of this other stuff. Like, listen, this cat got one job. Do
Hmm.
I feed the cat? Absolutely. Do I
Hmm.
love the cat, play with the cat, give it toys and all those things? Yes. But you want me to pretend that I let my cat sleep in the bed with me and eat the same food I eat, and that's my everything because that's what society says.
Yeah.
So until we start being realistic about what is going on and why it's going on, right? Like if you want to talk about nonprofits, for example, do a study. How many of them buy groceries in the city that they work on that feeds them, pay
Yeah.
for their mortgage, pay for their vacation, send their children to school?
Yeah.
How many of them actually engage with the people that they make money off of on a regular basis? And I'm not just talking about the ones on the premises. And mind you, now most of the times the higher you up, they don't communicate with them at all. They're exploiting them. It's in our faces all of the time. But we don't want to say, this is racist, this is abuse, right? Because then they come down on you.
Yeah.
And then with our brothers and sisters that see it happening, turn their backs because they don't want none of that smoke.
Yeah.
Better you than me.
Yeah. Hmm.
And that's what happened in this farming space because we don't have money. So you have a bunch of people being ugly to each other, selling each other out, and creating false narratives and stuff because this is a game. It's like Hunger Games. It
Yeah.
really is. Everybody got their best person. They're gonna give you little things to help you if you serve their interests.
Yeah.
And if you don't, so it's just like until we see that and realize that they need us,
Hmm.
we don't need them.
Yeah.
If people really was like, because it's not like they don't know. If people really say, you know what, I'm not going to allow them to use my image, use my liking, use me as a piece of data, a statistic, these poverty pimps will disappear overnight.
Yeah.
The only way that they can keep getting funding is by keep finding people to exploit.
Yeah.
And again, we can't make that or take that personal because they can look at me and say, oh my God, this is a box checker. She does all of these things. We're going to throw her on a brochure. We're going to introduce her to the board. Board, this is our new star. You know what? They're
Hmm.
going to make us look great. However, our star knew what? You doing what? You trying to actually do the things you said you're going to do? Are you trying to grow? If you grow too much, now you're competing with us for funds.
Yeah.
Oh no, since we have so much control over what you do and your needs because your black behind does not own land, don't have resources. So if you act like you want to do too much and say what you said, or dare so say that you're not going to jump your mission because we're asking you to do something that go against your morals or your ethics, then we're going to take these things. And if that doesn't work, we're going to start harming your name or your business,
Yeah.
right? You have people that tell people not to buy food from individuals. It's just a lot of ugly things going on. But at the end of the day, it's not personal. You're affecting the way that they do business. If you're vampires and you suck businesses dry by using them as numbers,
Yeah.
as using them as a story, when that stops or that slows down, you can't survive anymore.
Yeah.
So again, we just have to stop making or taking things personal and just be realistic that this is big business. You can't have millions of dollars go into food insecurities, food deserts, and all of these things and don't have an actual food system. Stop doing the free food giveaways, right? Because here's another thing I found. We have all of these places in our cities doing free food giveaways. You know where they get most of the produce that they pay for to give away?
Mhm.
From farmers outside of the city.
Yeah.
And they'll use this excuse, well, you guys don't grow enough, or you don't grow quality food. Well, how are we ever supposed to get to that point to compete with that? You are literally spending money outside of the city to feed the city. Again, it's another form of slavery. And they keep playing in our face. And they keep finding ones that look like us to show that, nope, this is nothing wrong. We included you guys. Look how many colored people we have on our board, have on our team. What are you doing to make sure that you don't have to do it anymore? Nothing. That's why they're always here.
That's so good. Oh my gosh. That is that's very true. I've woken up to that realization as well after being in the food system industry for 12 years. And out of 12 years, I'm like, I feel like the solutions have not really became clear. I can't be the only one thinking about this the same way as you are, Arva. I'm just thinking about everything like we still have a million food pantries and food banks. People are still hungry. 42 million Americans are still on SNAP,
Hmm.
rely on SNAP. Out of 12 years,
You have
like,
a police department, you have a fire department, you have public works, you have a school system with teachers and stuff, right? Why is there not department for agriculture in every town, in every state? That literally, you understand what I'm saying? So it's not like no one is capable of creating the structure, right? So a
yes,
lot of times you have these municipal jobs, you're supposed to have a residency requirement to make sure that the money stays in the economy, right? So it's local. How
yes,
many people of color they find to fight the residency so people that don't live there can come and do it? So
that's
now imagine if you have a farming program and you have to be a resident to make the money, right? You care about the people that you're feeding.
yeah,
They're welcome in that space. It is an actual structure and a system that is part of the economy. The same, no one can go a day without eating.
yes, exactly.
Plenty of days without violence, without fires, without getting sick, right? Without needing our garbage picked up.
Mhm.
Not a day goes by we don't need food. So no one wants to actually solve the problem.
So what is it with food that you think is just this last like just this passive movement? What is it
It's
with
the sovereignty in it. It goes back to that, right? Because it's a right. If you can control, it's like controlling someone's idea of God. You don't have to be on them all of the time,
Mhm.
right? That's the reason why the politicians always go to the churches,
Mhm.
right? Because they don't have to go to everybody's door individually. They
Mhm.
go to one place, get that person that leads those people to believe in what they're saying and tell them all what to do, and party's over.
Mm.
Keeps cycling and it keeps happening. Same thing when I used to go to the schools with military and when it was legal to have a credit card people at the colleges and stuff. You don't got to go into all these individual people. And it's about control. Why they're taking the seeds out of the vegetables.
Yeah.
It's control. Why you have these billionaires buying up farmland. It's about control. It's always slavery by a different name.
Yeah.
So if you can control what people eat, you control their health, you control their minds, right? People still think that fluoride helps your teeth. Like
Yes.
we live in the age of information. At this point, ignorance is a choice. And
Yes.
some of us choose to be ignorant because if you acknowledge something, you got to do something, and we don't want to do nothing. And we don't want to seem stupid.
It's so true.
Especially if you're in charge of the house. It takes courage to say, listen, we've been doing something wrong. We're going to switch it up. Who's with me? We scared. We scared.
That's just ringing in my head right now.
Yeah, we scared. And I'm gonna keep saying that because like even with me, the reason I have this problem with these men is because I'm doing something that they're scared to do. If you're a black man and you're afraid to go outside and engage young black men, how can you actually stand next to me?
Yeah.
Let's just be real about it. It doesn't matter what state I go to, what city I'm in, what country I'm in. Me as a woman, is always going to have a problem doing what I'm doing because most people are scared.
Yeah.
They scared. They
So
want the safe group.
yeah.
They
So
want to technically have black faces, but
Mhm.
they don't want to help the people that need it most. They don't want to give back. It's just neglectful,
Mhm.
right? So when you actually do it, who do you think you are? Instead of saying, sis, I'm gonna lock arms with you, like I'm with you, right? Because I tell people every day, like, be honest with you, I just be like, yo, I'm a girl. I ain't supposed to be doing this. Like, and that's why I'm trying so hard to create these systems so I can go back into my little soft space and safe space because, like, somebody got to not be scared.
Yeah. So yeah, I love that you say that. You're a girl. I'm supposed to be a flower. I'm not supposed to be doing this. So how do we, because I don't want to believe everyone is scared. I want to believe that it's challenging for people to rise up. So how can we help people become less scared and to do it scared, right? There's a lot of affirmations, just do it scared, just do it. So if there is a fear there, right? How do we help people overcome that fear?
It's love, V. That's gonna be my answer to everything. If you actually pour into people and support people and give them the resources that they need, problem solved. You need each other, you need support, and you need love. And that's why I rather go to the younger people because these cakes is baked. You like 30, 40, 50. You can put some nice frosting on you, some sprinkles and everything, but under there, that cake is still going to be that cake, and those people are less likely to change. But when you come up with a different mindset, you're exposed to different things and you have community. I'm still convinced a lot of it is just the people that we are around. So
Mhm.
when you're younger and you're around different people, you also create more of those people when you're younger. It's like, learning languages when you're younger. Like your mind is just different. You're still growing. You're still becoming who you are, so and then now you get to see different examples of success with people that look like you, support of people that look like you and can pour into you. It's changing that environment, like, and that's just really the answer is just focus on the change with the people that can possibly change you or just better suited to change, you know, do it different.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh my gosh. I'm just reflecting on everything you're saying, and it's all very true that love trumps fear. And so if we just have a heart posture to truly care about ourselves, care about our families, our communities, that in itself can change the circumstances that we see today. Because I always focus on a community level change instead of just the top level change.
Mhm.
And if their hearts are unchanging, then all you have to rely on is your inner circle, your community.
And farming like kind of teaches you love on a sneak tip because a lot of these people never grew anything before. So seeing that cycle of life and knowing that their hands did it, right? That's when some things start happening inside. Like
Mhm.
there's this thing that's called nature deficit syndrome. There
Mhm.
is science behind us not being in nature and how it affects us. But
Absolutely.
it's not something you really can describe is when you put them in that environment and you watch that happen. And then it's just like this domino effect of caring more about what you put into your body because now you have a more of an understanding of food and how it works. Like most of us as adults don't even know how our bodies absorb vitamins and minerals. Imagine if that was something that's just part of biology when you're in elementary school, in
Yes.
middle school,
So,
right? But that's not going to happen because there's big business on us eating bad and not understanding our bodies and going to someone else every time that there's a problem.
absolutely.
Like my son told me the other day, he came and he gave me a hug, and I'm like, "What's wrong with you?" He's like, "I was just thinking about something." He's like, "I remember I used to come with the tools all of the time and clean our teeth and say, you need to clean that back tooth again." My kids don't have to go to the dentist all of the time. I got the mirrors, I got the hooks, I got the scrapers. Like, how is that not normal?
Yeah.
You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? Men back in the day used to change the brakes, change the oil. Now we go everywhere. We're just consumers. They really, that's what I'm saying, like slavery by a different name. And we
Absolutely.
normalize all of these things, and it's not like we can't. You watch videos of kids in other countries, and they're over 5 years old over open flame cooking. Call the
Absolutely.
police on you, you do that here. Why
Abs-
is it that our children are not capable?
yes.
They're very capable, but we dumb them down by not doing these things. So a lot of times, people tell me it's frustrating working with young people. They don't listen. They they be like they stupid. They don't got no sense and all this other stuff. But realistically, right? When do they have to actually think? When are they actually practicing any critical thinking or logic in the daily life that they have?
So
They
true.
don't have to look things up. They don't have to research anything. They don't have to have these summer jobs. Nobody got a paper route no more. Nobody's doing the tobacco fields, like all of these things. So we expect so much out of them that we're not pouring into, and it's just natural that the brain dumbs down
Absolutely.
because it's not being exercised at all.
That's so true.
And we're the ones that's supposed to be teaching them, and we're just like this.
Yeah. Just
We're failing.
just point our fingers at their flaws and shortcomings when we're not even training them up to be productive, to be productive citizens in society. Yeah.
Can't enable it. Like, how many people do we know that they just put their babies in front of the TV,
Oh, yes.
in
Give them
front of the tablet? Everybody, baby got a tablet, blind with a
their
tablet.
own tablets, own phones. I see it constantly. On top of that, they're eating a lot of processed, high refined, sugary foods. None of these things are good development for their brains at all.
So we have people that, brains are not developing, bunch of old children like Benjamin Button, right? And and then you also have like the amount of people that have allergies, just allergic to everything.
Hmm.
It's all of this fake food we've been eating. All of the horrible things that we ingest, right? And we're like another example, like, I might get in something for this one, but like even like with breast cancer, right? We always want to do all these pink campaigns and marching and stuff like that versus spending that time, money, and energy and asking scientifically why.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Like, get on that. It's not a coincidence. Yes, there's cancer, but it was never such a high rate. We're knowing now that it comes a lot from our foods and stuff like this. So why are we not using all of that energy and those funds to change those things? Like, learning that it's completely legal for someone to say, I'm in the cheese industry. I'm going to pay you $5 million for you to put this higher in the food pyramid than the meat.
Yes,
And now every child in the United States is going to be held to that standard because I have $5 million to pay you to make sure that all of the cheese people make more money. And this is perfectly legal, and this is the world that we live in. But this is not the things that we pay attention to because the social engineering got us distracted about stuff that don't matter and mad at each other.
which is diabolical.
Mm-hmm. Got to do better.
I think that's just the most diabolical thing to ever exist is to weaponize our food. I mean, the very basic thing we all need to survive. You want to what you're okay with it being weaponized. It's
And
just
I don't eat that stuff, just growing up. Remember why you sitting there watching the morning TV shows or whatever, you sitting there eating your cereal, all that sugar that you poured in there, the sugar that came on it and that cow's milk, right? And you watching these other families with fresh pastries and orange juice and, real meat that probably came from an animal that was killed yesterday and maybe the day before that. And we're just sitting here eating trash. So
absolutely.
it's been in our face, the disparities the whole time. But we was like, oh, those people are weird. They're eating fruit. That's what your body needs. But with
Absolutely.
the education, all we knew was that they gave us some food stamps or some WIC, and this is what's eligible on it. And because it's free, we ain't gonna complain.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna take this free food and this money, and I'm not gonna let your father come back over here because he get on my nerves, and I can just get money from these people for now.
That is such a real scenario right there.
But that's what they have done to us. Like, it's so many
Yes.
things that they have done to keep Black men out of our homes. And the thing is, we wasn't acknowledging in the time. We're not acknowledging it now. And I'm not saying we, like, just women, even the Black men. Like, how, if you're supposed to be the leader, acknowledge what is really going on and overcome that. You was lazy too. You just like, man, whatever. They'll do it. I ain't got to do it. And you just think that that bill gonna go away.
Yeah.
All of these things are things to keep us put against each other.
Yeah.
There's nothing that they should be able to tell or offer any mother
Mhm.
unless the man is no good, right? Let's be clear. I'm not talking about putting up with people that are abusive or don't do what they're supposed to be doing. But there should be nothing that anyone can tell you to make you choose them over your life partner. And I'm not saying that you're going to stay together. That's your child. Y'all have children, or that's your community. So it's just like being realistic about the numbers that they have done on us. Like, they have mentally broken us. We are psychologically enslaved more than anything else.
Yes. And once you get the mind, oh my gosh.
That's it. You got the mother, you got the baby, you got the next generation because they're going to keep spewing that.
Oh, you said generation, right? That
Yes.
that part. Because it gets past that mindset, that narrative passes down to the next generation. And oh my gosh, if you're called to break that generational curse in your family, you are flipping the head of that entire bloodline just by your awakening.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh my gosh, I love that you even brought that part up. It's the mindset, and that just brings me to how important it is to integrate mind and body and soil together. You mentioned that we're very disconnected, or you alluded to that we're very disconnected from the soil. We come from the soil.
Mm-hmm.
If we come from the soil, why would it not be why would it not be a nutrient deficiency? And that's where we come from. That's what we're literally made of, matter, right? And so I've been coming to this awakening that it is so important to heal the mind, body in the soil.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at my own generation, my own family bloodline, and the mindset of my great grandparents, and how it's so different than my mindset is very different from the mindset of my great grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just wondering, okay, if I have this awakening mindset, what does 3 generations from me look like? And how can I continue on this path of positivity, optimism, and hope, and to continue to change all of the disparities that are around me?
Mm-hmm.
How powerful will my generation bloodline society look? How would that look?
Beautiful. That's what I know. Because even when I first started like growing food, like before I start farming, I'm just gardening. And especially once I start farming, right? Like literally the people in my family, some of my friends like thinking something wrong with me. Like, you depressed. Like I know you've been going through a lot, da da da, whatever. And then like when I'm really in it and I'm like, this is what I'm doing, like you crazy, you bugged out, to now coming around.
Mm.
Right? Somebody gotta do it. And it has happened. It's so many more people, and especially even some of the naysayers that love it, that want to be around us inspired now. It's just somebody got to do it. Like, and there's not no pat on the back to me or for me at all, but I watch it happen. So, and just imagine that, like, where it can go, right? Because it's just about, just even what you said about us being connected to the soil. Imagine if Black people made it a trend to be grounding, right? Doing yoga and stuff, like just being outside in nature. That is so not profitable. Do
No.
you know how many sales would drop everywhere?
Yeah.
You know, the ads, the likes people not getting no more because people is doing something real. They outside being in tune basically with themselves. We are carbon people,
Absolutely.
right? We are of the stars. We are of everything. Like that's what melanin is. And so our batteries is not being charged. Imagine if we started lighting up. It's not profitable. So they're going to keep us from being outside as much as they can. Imagine if we understood real wealth was in the land. It's just too many. So even those of us that want the land or fight for the land, and some of us that have the land, and we go through these battles and we're alone because people don't understand the value of it. You don't got the community showing up because they just like, man, I'll sell that. How much money they giving you? That's who we are. That's who we've become. So then the next part is you have a lot of us that do understand that and we are awoken, but we just like I don't got the energy for it. And I don't blame them people. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like sometimes it just be like, some of us can explain, well, this is how this works and this and da da. And other people is just be like, I can't do it. Y'all dumb. Um, and again, it's just all lack of knowledge, disconnection to the land, to our ancestors, and just to what's going on like in our faces, right? And doing things just like for me, it was so life changing when I started coming into people that are like myself spiritually, mentally, ethnically, um, once I started farming. Because when you're learning from other groups of people, their whole style is to take. What can they get? So learning the full circle of everything. And that's basically when I started keeping bees, how everything is just like everything comes down and dawn on you. And just like your ancestors, just like, what are you doing? Like, we all you need and, stuff like that. And it's just like, even like our practices and different things that we do, just praying over the land, right? Pouring those libations or saying a prayer and stuff like that. That's us. That's not oftentimes who we learn from. So we're also learning a lot from the same style or lineage or process result of those that took it from us in the first place. So it's like having this total recall of connecting back to the land, and just trying to offer that to other people. It's an awakening that we just all have to just get out there. Just got to get out there and feel it. That's something to get addicted to outside.
That is so true. So what do you think the community, or how can we gather our community to own land together?
Structure and discipline. You have to have structure, discipline, and clear expectations because at the end of the day, you know, it's bad people everywhere, and not all bad people is intentional bad people. Sometimes we done went through life for different reasons, and people got us thinking that we're smarter than we are, that we're capable of doing more than we are. Different things. It's just we need the structure, we need the discipline, and we need the accountability. Just straight like that. Just like, like oftentimes like people love to bring up the Black Panthers and but you can't talk about someone's successes without talking about what they put on the line. Those people was ready to die for what they believe in and they lived for it every day. There wasn't no half stepping. So that's the thing. Like we want to talk about things in a comfortable way, but we're not really on it like that. Again, because we scared, right? So like let's just be real. And no, I'm saying being scared. So like even if like so somebody was to say, hey, your sister was behaving a certain kind of way, and they're telling the truth, right? This is my job to make sure that my sister is okay, see what she needs, and if she bugging, you bugging. This don't make no money. This is not successful. This is deviates. We're scared to even say no to each other. Like a deadbeat dad should have no friends. His mother shouldn't let him sleep on the couch, right? Nobody should talk to him until he get his stuff together. And it goes the same thing for a woman. If you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing and handling your business, right? No different from these kids. Oh, you out here stealing cars? We're not hanging around you. You should be by yourself because I love my life and I have wonderful things going on. And you're a danger to that. We're trying to build something and we're trying to go somewhere. So you're a danger to that. Now you get yourself together, you can come back, but there is no expectation. There is no accountability. It's like a man that is married and all his friends are single and they're cheaters. He's not going to be a good dude. He can't, it's the company that he keeps. You know what I mean? Because that's his character and his integrity, the things you do when no one's looking, right? So just being realistic about those things is just that we scared. We don't want no problems. We don't want to say no. We don't want to have the difficult conversations, right? There's like again, there's a lot of predators in these spaces. So
Yeah.
if you have people that's always dating someone that has to take medication to get through the day, you're a predator. You're
Mm.
preying on our sisters when you're supposed to be protecting them,
Yeah.
right? If you're a person that only come around because you heard it's money over here and money wasn't working over there, you're a predator.
Mhm.
Somebody has to be able to say, you know what, you got to prove yourself. What
Mhm.
have you done? Because even for me, like I've had a lot of predators come my way. And what I've decided now is just like going forward, or at least for a good time, I'm not working with anyone that hasn't earned what they have. If
Yeah.
you only have a position, you're not safe. If you was grandfathered into something, to me that you're not safe because you're just not equal to what I'm doing. It's nothing personal because a lot of times if people don't understand the sacrifices that you make or how it affects you, they don't think it's a big problem. We had all of our hives stolen, all of them. And all somebody can say is, oh, that's messed up. But they've never actually earned anything. They
Wow.
was given a position, given a title, right? The difference is when Aasaaska gives you something, that's coming out of our pocket. We
Right.
don't have this nonprofit of funds that get to decide, okay, this farmer gets this person gets that, this company or this, that, and the third, right? And don't you dare make me mad because I'm this nonprofit. I'm gonna choose to give everybody else resources but you because you think that you somebody. And that's the difference, right? So sometimes you'd be like, oh, well, they do this. They first of all, they have to. That's their business. They have to distribute funds. They have to put things on. But what are they investing in? Are they investing in things that are real, things that are truly sustainable, people that are truly sustainable? Respectfully, if you like 60 years old, why are you giving all that money to someone that has their whole life to figure everything out versus giving those opportunities to a young child? And I'm not saying do it for me, I'm just saying in general. But these are the questions that we have to ask. These are the things that we have to start looking at. Okay, let's look at this nonprofit. How much money did they take in this year? How much of it went to staff? How much of it went to bills? How much of it went to even supplies and stuff like that, right? Because you're going to have to buy it again next year because you didn't spend none of those funds building something that runs itself. And that's what they all do. They just keep finding another black face, another story to tell, another farmer. And if you're not the one, then it's a problem. So if you thinking that you know you're blind and you're not knowing you coming into these space and thinking that all these things are available and you want to get resources, and then you find out that you only get resources when you can be manipulated, you be in a spot. So like even for us, we've been very careful about not putting a lot of stuff on social media because we were getting attacked by so many entities that see us as a threat because it's the way we do business, right? If a whole bunch of people started doing this again, they wouldn't be useful
Yeah.
because it really wasn't safe. Like, you know how they say, don't tell nobody what you're doing until it's done?
Absolutely.
Because that's what happens when you really start doing work for the people. You start getting attacked politically by big business. We're not talking about little farmers and stuff like that. This affects the way that people do business. And this one of these colonizers actually literally said that to me. Well, sometimes we have to make phone calls to people that we know in different places because there are people that do things that affect the way that we make business, the way that we do business. And at the time, there's something I caught in hindsight because at the time I didn't think that I had any problems because I'm doing this, saving my, doing my work, dun, 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 but it was really like him letting me know a long time ago, like, don't get too big. We'll shut it down. So
Wow.
if you weigh like 120 pounds soaking wet and you say something like that to me, it's because historically, presently, and just in general, ain't nobody gonna do nothing.
Absolutely.
Cause we big business and I'm your boss. And ain't nobody gonna do nothing. Not the news, not the town, not the board. Cause all of these boards know that they're pimping people out.
Profiting off of our pain, our
Hmm.
purpose, our health, and our Um, yeah, I had another word that I just thought of. But that's what I'm hearing. It's just making a profit off of our pain.
It is. With no real solution. Stop doing free food giveaways. For real. There's plenty of land that's big places right now. Like, just give it away. Give away the land. You don't want to do that. All of these companies, I'm telling you, so many companies I reached out with, like, trying to help, like, hey, can you teach us how to do hydroponics? Can you teach us a welding class? This, that, and the third. And it's just, no, they don't want to teach you how to do anything. They just want to put you in a workshop, in a class, and take some pictures and get your email for the data, right? And it's big business.
Yes.
Nobody actually wants to do anything real.
Hmm.
The money is there. And the next thing is the politicians always show up for them. Like,
Absolutely.
we're not farming. It's too many of us. We're just it's big business. Like, even all of these hubs, why all of these hubs that's popping up all over the state is not including the urban farmers.
Absolutely.
We have food. So even with something like that, okay, if this school needs 600 pounds a week, if you told at least 10 different urban farmers to grow the same thing collectively, they can still be put their name in the hat. There
Absolutely.
is solutions, and they're easy solutions. So even like these meetings and stuff, like, I just stopped going to a lot of these meetings because they just want to hold, we had a certain person come from this city that's of color. We're not at the table. We're not part of the conversation. All of this stuff is just for numbers. No
Yeah.
one is really trying to bring us to the table because they know if we actually did that, we don't need them anymore.
Yeah.
All of these people make money off of us. We're consumers. Every nationality restaurants is in the cities because that's where the consumers are. Keep all that noise and nonsense away from us.
Mm-hmm.
Stay in your place.
Mm. So America is not truly trying to solve its problems. It's profit
Mm-mm.
off of its problems, and the more it profits, the more it runs.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm hearing, and that's what we're dealing with. And, you know, if you're not making change in your local community, on a local community aspect, then you're really behind. You're really behind. Because if you're sitting around waiting for the government to fix anything,
Mm-hmm.
you're beating a dead horse at this point.
There you go. And that's what it comes down to. The problems that we face locally, small, on business level, it's all the same processes. It's all the same thing. It's the profiting
Yes.
off of it,
Off.
right? Same thing, just different levels to it. So it's the same thing with politics, right? No matter how racist somebody is, they always find one of us, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
They always find one of us, a couple of us, few of us. So it's no different from locally.
Right.
It's the same thing. It's social engineering. It's psychology.
Mhm.
It's people that, and if your goal is to control, right? You're
Mhm.
going to be great at it. We're not
Absolutely.
thinking about that. We're too busy struggling. We in survival mode at all times. You know how they say people in survival mode the whole everything, survival mode. And
Playing.
we've never gotten out of it. And that's part of the reason why we put ourselves against each other, because we're just trying to survive,
Yeah.
you know?
That's wow. That's powerful. Oh my gosh, this has been a very rich conversation. So, some takeaways. Stop being scared. Do something within your local community. Love over fear. And do you want to add one more?
When in doubt, what would the bees do?
Ooh, what would the bees do, y'all? What would the bees do?
That was a freestyle too. I'd be, ooh.
I love it. I absolutely love that, Arva. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for just giving us such a real, honest, truthful conversation. I don't think, you could have said anything better than what you've said because everything you've said is honestly rooted in the truth, is rooted in reality that we all need to stop being so disillusioned with. So, how can everyone follow you and support you?
So you can get our socials. We're on Facebook as Aasaaska. We are on IG at Aasaaska Foundation _CT, and our website, Aasaaska.org and Aasaaska.com. If you type in Aasaaska, you're gonna find us.
Absolutely. And it's Aasaaska Foundation.
Yes. And that means foundation.
Oh, that's,
So, you know,
that is
start
beautiful.
there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I love chatting with you. This was part two, and I feel it in my bones. There's going to be another part because
We
everything.
got to get some boys on here. You have to speak to the result
Okay,
and
yes, I would love to
the
have them.
process.
I
Because I
would.
can tell you anything, but the proof is in the pudding, baby.
Oh, I love that. Okay, well, yeah, let's invite your youth on, let them share their perspectives. I would love to have them on, and I'm sure everyone listening would love to hear from them as well. Young Black men in Hartford, Connecticut doing amazing things, following
Black and brown. We black Tinas, okay? Don't forget my
Black
Hispanic
and
side.
brown, black and brown.
We cry, okay?
We're finding our purpose, identity, and being productive young men. I love that. Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Aarvah, for coming on, and I cannot wait to see you in person soon.
Thank you. See you soon.
All right, take care, everyone. Bye bye.